Hope you're all well. This is a weekly breakdown for the 37th week of 2025. We're going to go over metals and yen pairs, but before we do that, we'll quickly recap the fundamentals. So over the last few weeks, we've seen a dovish tilt on the back of Powell's comment in the Jackson Hole. Actually, I'll just load up my notes. Basically, just go over these notes. They just talk about what's happened in brief detail. In the coming week, we've got CPI and PPI, which is of interest, and then the week after we've got rate cuts, rate meeting, where we are expecting a cut. So PPI and CPI will give indication on whether the cuts are more likely or if we see some sort of unwinding of the pricing in of the cuts. So we'll jump into it with gold. As you can see, psychological levels past all-time highs have been delivering pretty well. So in terms of sell case scenarios, the first sell is simply just the psychological levels. Now, again, you can try and find some trend lines that align over here, or maybe even fib extensions. But I think if you just look at the psychological levels, they are good enough in terms of reference, because if you look at the psych levels so far, let me just plot all of them. So you've got the 25 and the 3500. So the 3500 did deliver around 280 pips. This breached, this was a miss, this delivered almost 700 pips. The zone after, I think this also delivered a small pullback. No, it breached, and then the zone after did deliver the move. So the way I like to do it past all-time highs is you either want a breach of a psychological level to take the next one, or if it aligns, then you're allowed to take it with context. So the next psychological level is 36.25. It's currently around 300, motherfucker. It's around 300, nearly 400 pips away from current price. So either I'd want a strong ass push into the level, because then the profit-taking move is already likely, but if it doesn't happen, it just increases the chance of the backup delivering, because if we see a strong push up, this is the only reference we do have, and if it doesn't deliver the pullback from here and it breaches, it just increases the odds of success for this area. However, if it does have pullbacks, then I would want timing or alignment for this, if not breach, to increase the appeal of this zone, with this zone as a backup. And if this area does deliver the pullback, then I would only be interested on the 3650 psych with timing or a match. If not breach, to then take the 75 with the 3700 as a backup. Now, in terms of buy case scenarios, I will talk you through my thought process, and then we'll have a look at silver. So this is when Powell started to have the dovish comments, and one thing that's pretty sick about Market AI as well is they've got this new candle analysis feature. So if I look at gold and we go on to the 4 hour, as you can see, this is where Powell made those comments. And if you click on this push up, where the exponential move higher started, you can see Fed's comments, GDP growth rate has slowed down, reflecting slowdown in consumer spending, which if you look at the breakdown, it will suggest upside for gold, and also have a look breakdown of that. So gold upside for this as well, gold upside, and then you can also look at all the different events that we've seen after. So if you look at this fib as well for reference, now it's not wrong to draw the fib from here, but this is where the move higher started. This move has seen most of it a pullback. But if you plot a fib from here, as you can see, the 38 was a miss, but then actually the 38.50 delivered. We'll plot the 23 as well. 23 delivered. 23 was a miss. 23 delivered again. So this is a valid fib to use as reference, but my bad, before we even draw the fib, we identify the key levels. Now, it is pretty messy. There's quite a lot of 4 hour levels. So first, what I'm going to do is I will identify all of the break retests in blue. So you've got the previous all-time high, 3500 psychological level, and then past that, you've got this break retest, and then after that, you've got this one, and also this one. Now I'll identify the psychological levels with a pink line. So you've got the 25 over here. You've got the 3500. I'll just keep it there actually. 75, 50, and 25 we'll do the 3400 as well. And only once you've done this, and you can also plot this fib, because this is a valid fib to use as reference, because first touch, second touch, we broke past the highs, and the third touch will be of interest because the second touch indicates more buying pressure. Now this is simply just based off tech. Once you've done that, oh, by the way, there is a level over here. Apart from that, I'm not going to plot any of the 4-hour levels. There is a weak 4-hour level over here. And then finally, you plot the fibs. So this is a valid fib of reference. Apart from that, any other fib, genuinely, it would be forcing it. There's too many different zones where you could plot it from, and it's no clear move higher. All of this move up started from over here. There wasn't any clear pullback to then draw the fib from. So this is the only fib I would be looking at. Now, yes, you can also look at a fib such as this, but I think realistically, it'd just be forcing it, and less is... What the fuck? This is a test of emergency alerts in the UK government. What the actual fuck is this bullshit, bro? That is crazy. I think we are finally preparing for war. So once you've identified that, I mean, you can draw a very aggressive trend line from here, but that's more than enough tech for me to build a plan. Yes, you can identify more tech, but I think it's just likely to add too much noise. You can also plot the most recent fib as well, but we'll get back to that and we'll work our way towards the price. So when there are a lot of different areas where price could potentially make the move, what you essentially do is you identify the more solid zones and you build your plans around them. So already I can see that this is a zone I'm interested in because we've got the 61 fib, we've got the break retest, and also we've got a psychological level. Same for this zone. This is a zone which is good because you've got the 50 fib, this break retest, and also a psychological level. And on top of that, this psych doesn't have much. It's basically just the psychological level, so I'm not as interested in this zone. But if you look at the big 38 break retest and also psychological level, this is also a zone which I'll be interested in. So just to make it a bit easier, I will draw a white box on all of the zones which I am interested in based off technicals. So you've got the 38, 50, 61, and also let's see where the 23 lines up as well. And then, so these are the three zones I'm interested in, this not so much, and I'll show you how we can use this as reference because there is a 4-hour level over here. You then plot the small fib, and as you can see, we'll go on the lower time frame and see how has this been reacting. 38 worked, 38.50, and that is a valid fib to use. I think the 23 probably you could get away with it. 23 break retest, it did deliver the move. So how I would approach this is I'm not interested in the 23 because we've already delivered a pullback. The 38, there's not much. Yes, there is a break retest over here, but I'm not interested in the 38 as well. The 50, however, 50/61 area, remember recent price action is king. This is where the key level is. So this area, 61 fib, also has the 50 psychological level. So this is a possible zone of interest in the right conditions. So the only way I would be interested in a zone such as this, wait, let me just quickly identify the zone after. Oh shit, I'll put that back. There is the $25 plus big 23. So how I would play it is I'm not really interested in this zone. I would want no pullback in this area and a strong push into this level to even attempt this. And if there is a pullback in close proximity, then I am no longer interested in this zone. And also even this zone, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I would actually want a breach of this zone to increase the appeal of success for the 35-25 psych level plus this daily level over here. However, if there is a pullback either from here or even over here, I'm no longer interested in this zone where I would want a breach to increase the appeal of success for this zone. Now, this is a zone which is preferred, and if you are taking this zone, and again, we are taking these zones in overextended scenarios where the odds of profit taking is high, where if in the unlikely scenario it does get breached, only then would I be interested in the 75 as a backup. So I'll make this red. However, if this area does deliver the pullback, then I would want a breach of this zone to improve the odds of success for the 50 psych break retest fib, sorry, Yep. And have the 61 as a backup. If this area delivers the pullback, then simply I'd want a breach of this zone to improve the odds of success for the zone after, where I would only be interested in this zone with timing or a match. Simple shit. Once you have identified your plan, you then begin to plot your entry, stop loss, take profit. And when it comes to entries, go over the course, I literally break this shit down in a lot more detail. With entry, you find an entry where it's not likely to miss. So as an example, if you are going for this area, you wouldn't go over here. You would go just a bit before the psych level. So you wouldn't even go and bang on the 50. You'd either go 51, 52, and now you've identified the entry. You put your stop loss in a place where it's less likely to get tagged out. And also you take profit at the first area of potential struggle. Now, we'll send my charts shortly with all of my entries and my plan in a bit more detail, but essentially it's pretty much as simple as that when it comes to making your plan. You can also look at silver as well. So silver did deliver the move from here, and also there was a smaller historical level. Past that, you've got 42.5 and a historical key level, and 43 area / 43.3-ish, and I will actually go into the past to show you. Oh shit. So remember, recent price action is king, so these are the two levels that I'm looking at, this key level, and past that you've got this level over here as well, so I'll just plot that for the sake of it. And in terms of buy case scenarios, again, it's the exact same. We've got a break retest over here. We've got a weak break retest over here, but we've got a 4-hour level over here, level, a weak level, and also level. Once you've identified the levels, this trend line is a valid trend line because second touch breached past highs. You plot a fib from here, and as you can see, the 38 is in this area, 61 is in this area. So if we do see a pullback from here, I would want no reaction from the 50 fib to improve the odds of success for the 61. And if it does breach the 38, then yes, 50 could be of insight, because remember, we're not trading silver, we're just using it as a pair to align to take gold. You can also look at this fib as well, and as you can see, the 38 is on this level. So again, I would, oh shit, not that. I would want a breach of this 38 area to improve the odds of success for this 50. However, if it does do the pullback from the 38, then maybe near the bottom of the zone is of more interest. But again, I'm not too fussed about being accurate on silver because I'm just using it as alignment, so I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. You can also, if you really want, look at this fib, and to be honest, that does work with our plan because the 38 is in the zone, 50 is in the zone, and 61 is in the zone. And we could see, so towards the end of the week, we could see this trend line, or the following week, we could also see this trend line in play. Now, finally, let's have a look at Dixie as well, because I didn't have a look at that last week. So as you can see, Dixie has been softer on the back of the rate cut bets, but essentially this area would be too close to open. More so, I would be interested in the lows, and if not lows, past the lows, you've got the 95.7, which these areas are simply this level, and sell case scenario, this area, these wicks are way too close, so no reaction from here improves the odds of success for this one, and also this previous high. Now we'll send a breakdown of Dixie when it does come time for a news event, because you can use it to give you insight. And essentially all I do with Dixie is when there is a news event, every time I don't expect the first level. Imagine we've got CPI or PPI. If it does push Dixie higher, obviously if it's a strong push into a level, it could deliver the reaction. You've also got this EMA on this level, by the way, but I would expect it to dampen the momentum, where if it breaches this, then it improves the odds of success for the zone after. Well, yeah, apart from that, pretty simple stuff. Now let's go over the yen pairs. So yen pairs, there's nothing new really. The lows, how far away are they? They're only 100 pips away, so I'm not too interested in the lows. More so, I would want a breach to improve the odds of success for this area, which is a weak break retest, 61 fib, and the 100 daily EMA. So if you plot this fib, as you can see, I would ideally want a breach of this 50 to improve the odds of success for the 61. Apart from that, there's not anything else. If we do see a pullback in close proximity, I'm no longer interested in this zone, where I would want a breach to then be interested on the lows, which has the 200 EMA, which is creeping higher, but that is where my entry will be. And the reason I really like this area is because it has a solid arse backup. If this area gets breached, it will improve the odds of success for the big 38. These two wicks, key level, and also 200 SMA. In terms of sell case scenarios, if we do see a push higher, I would want no reaction from here to improve the odds of success for this. However, if we do see a pullback, then simply I'd want a breach of this to then take this zone. If we have a look at UJ, which has been in a range for quite a while now, I am waiting for a break of this range, probably towards the downside if we do see higher inflation, so higher PPI and CPI, because that will fuel rate cut bets and also increase uncertainty, which will benefit the yen, meaning more downside for UJ. When we do break out of this range, I will be looking at the 38 break retest, especially if the fundamentals is still persistent. So if we do see some downside, this area is 150 pips away. However, this break retest is around 200 pips away. The only way I would be interested in this break retest is A, if we have alignment, or B, if we have a strong 250 pip plus move into the level. If not, I would simply just be interested on this key level. Now, this key level is what would give us that 38 break retest. It doesn't mean that it will, but if we have a look at that, as you can see, the 38 break retest is on this wick. But even if not, if this break retest delivers a move, the 38 is on the break retest of these wicks over here. Apart from that, if yen aligns, then you look at JPYX and the yen pairs, or if it is dollar driven, then you can look at Dixie for this one. And finally, for EJ, zones remain the exact same. You can have a look at this fib. So the 61 fib is on this level. This isn't the best level, but if we see a strong, yeah, it's only 150 pips away, so I'm not too keen on this area. However, if we see a breach of this area, it'll improve the odds of success for the lows, which is the 170 psychological level. And I'm pretty sure there is also a fib. So if you plot the big fib, actually it's after. So if no reaction from here, this is a good zone. However, if there is a pullback, then I would want a breach of this to improve the odds of success for the big 38, key level, EMA, and also the trend channel. And then past that, you do have this break retest on the 50 fib. That is if the 38 doesn't deliver, but if the 38 does deliver, I'm more interested in the 61, 200, daily EMA, and also I think, yeah, it's the big 38 as well. Yeah, big 38, and the backup for this zone is the 50 fib break retest, 200 SMA. And finally, we'll have a look at the yen index as well. Holy shit, I haven't had a look at this in quite a while, and to be honest, it's not given anything really. Lows, maybe, because we are pretty high up, strong push into the lows. If not, these areas, you've just got level, 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 and then also this level over here as well. And for sell case scenarios, yes, this area could give insight, but I'm more interested in this zone. However, if we see a pullback here, then I'm more interested in this zone. So hopefully that was helpful. I'll send my charts shortly, and let's have a cracking week.